My name is Tim Fury. I'm Assistant Director of Finance at the University of Birmingham. I have overall responsibility there for financial systems, which ranges through HR, purchase ordering, accounts payable, the whole range of financial activities. We have a range of software that we use for those, and Proactis is one of the key elements of that. We first looked at devolving budgetary control to our academic departments in the early 1990s, and we introduced the concept of devolved budgeting. The problem was we didn't give them the correct tools to actually manage their budgets. Initially, we introduced a PC-based system, locally run, so we ended up with 30 departments with 30 different systems, 30 different supplier databases, and no overall picture of the university's commitments or the supplier base that it was using. So we recognised that we had to do something about that. And we therefore went through an EU process to actually look to see whether there was a piece of software available that could give us a more centralised approach that we could also devolve out to users. And following a full EU tender process, we actually selected Proactis as being best value for money and best meeting our functionality. We were a very early adopter of the software. We identified that it met our core needs at that point, but we also identified with Proactis that they were looking to develop that software for the future and were looking for partners to work with in terms of looking at that functionality and seeing how it could be taken on to the next level. So we actually believe that Proactis were a group of people that we could work effectively with for the future and who we had trust and confidence in. And that to us was important. They weren't the sort of company who were going to come into the market and quickly disappear. In terms of the benefits we've got from going with Proactis, we've certainly been able to have much more visibility of spend. We haven't now got a larger number of departments with their own supplier databases. We've got a central supplier database. We know the suppliers we're dealing with. Our procurement staff have been able to introduce framework agreements with core suppliers and make them available to users. And that's given us far more control over the spend that we're undertaking. The efficiency gains it's given us have also meant that we are only managing one database. Everybody's using the same systems. It has meant that in terms of training and education, we've been able to have a coherent approach. We've been able to ensure that we have effective training and that people only have access to the software once they understand how it can be used and once they understand the benefits they're going to get from it. We've now got considerable advantages in terms of managing budgets. There is far more visibility of the budget process. We use the commitment process within Proactis, so we have on full commitment checking, and that means that we no longer have people who are out of control with their spend. They know what's available to them. On a frequent basis, they can look to see what commitments they have, what budget they've got left for the rest of the year, and it means there's a far more effective budgetary control process that everybody is tied into. It isn't, we don't have Matherwick spends anymore. We have far better control over the overall process. We've also introduced expenses through Proactis, and the academics have found it much easier to have visibility of their expenses and to know how quickly they're going to get paid. When it used to go through a purchase ledger process rather than direct through Proactis into payroll, they were waiting for 6 to 8 weeks to get their expenses reimbursed, and they found that unacceptable. The Proactis process has made that far more effective, and the academics are far happier in terms of how quickly they now get their expenses reimbursed. And they're also far happier in terms of knowing how quickly their orders are going to be met. So it's given them a much more streamlined process and one they're far more comfortable with.